Okay, if you're planning your retirement here in the UK, you are definitely going to want to listen up. The state pension age is changing, and it could have a pretty big impact on your financial plans. So let's break down exactly what's happening. So let me just ask you this straight out. Are you 100% certain you know the exact day you can claim your state pension? If you're hesitating even a little bit, you are not alone, because for millions of people, that date is actually on the move. To see why this matters so much, let's just take a quick example. So this is David, born in February 1961. He's been working his whole life assuming he'll get his pension at 66. And here's Sarah, born just 1 month later, in March 1961. You'd think she'd be in the same boat, right? Well, as we're about to find out, that's no longer a safe assumption.
Right, so let's get to the heart of it. Who exactly is going to be affected by these changes? Well, the answer all comes down to a very specific window of birth dates. And here it is. If you were born between the 6th of March 1961 and the 5th of April 1977, then this change applies directly to you. For this entire group of people, the state pension age is no longer that simple flat 66. Now, this isn't happening all at once. The government isn't just flipping a switch and bam, everyone's pension age changes overnight. No, it's a gradual process, part of a much bigger plan to account for the fact that we're all living longer. And understanding the timing here is absolutely key.
The official term for this is a phased increase. But really, all that means is that instead of the pension age jumping from 66 to 67 on one single day, it's going to creep up slowly, month by month, for people depending on their exact birthday.
So here's how it's going to roll out. The whole thing kicks off in May 2026. From that moment on, the pension age starts to climb up from 66. Then, all through 2027, it keeps rising for people born later in the 1960s, until it finally hits that new benchmark of 67 by March 2028.
Okay, so you get the what and the when, but what about you? Your specific situation? This is where you have to stop guessing and go find your official personal date. The good news is, finding your exact date is actually pretty easy. First, you could check for any letters you've got from the DWP. That's the Department for Work and Pensions. But honestly, the most reliable way is to go online. Head over to the gov.uk website and look for the Check Your State Pension Age tool. It'll give you your precise date in just a few seconds. Look, you might hear things from friends or read articles that give you a general idea, but that stuff can be out of date or just plain wrong. The only way to be 100% certain of your retirement date is to use the official government calculator. Seriously. All right, let's circle back to David and Sarah. Now that we understand the new rules of the game, let's see what this phased increase actually means for them in the real world. So here's the bottom line. David, born in February 61, just misses the cutoff. He squeaks by, and his pension age stays at 66. But Sarah, born just 1 month later, and boom, she falls right into the new system. Her state pension age is now 66 and 1 month. A single month's difference in their birthdays has created a tangible financial difference. And Sarah's extra month is just the beginning. For people born later in that affected window, maybe in 1962 or 1963, the wait gets longer. It could be an extra 3 months, 6 months, all the way up to a full 12 extra months, as that pension age gradually climbs towards 67. So, if you take just one thing away from this, let it be this. The age you can retire is not a fixed number that you heard about years ago and can just forget about. These rules can and do change, and staying informed is absolutely essential for your financial future. Which, brings us to the final really big thought. Knowing that the goalposts can move like this, well, it forces a bigger question. It's not just about knowing your date. It's about being ready for that date to change. Is your financial plan flexible enough to handle a shift like this? That's something we should all be thinking about. Okay, let's get right into it. We're talking about something that affects pretty much everyone in the UK, the state pension age. And well, there's a big change on the horizon that might be closer than you think. So straight up, just think about this for a second. Could you be working until you're 68? Maybe even longer. Now, I know what you're thinking. That's already in the plan. But here's the kicker. The timeline for that plan could be about to get a whole lot shorter. Yup, you heard that right. The government is looking at fast-tracking the move to age 68. So in this explainer, we're going to unpack exactly why this is happening and what it could mean for you.
So, what's really driving this? Well, to get to the bottom of it, you've just got to follow the money. And believe me, there is a lot of money involved. Okay, this next slide, it's really the multi-billion pound question, isn't it? The sheer cost of the state pension is pretty staggering, and it's the cool reason this whole debate is even happening.
Just look at that number for a second. That's 175 billion pounds. And let's be super clear, that's not some grand total over 10 years or something. That's the bill for 1 year, every single year. It's just a mind-bogglingly huge financial commitment. So how do you even wrap your head around a number that big? Well, think of the UK's entire economy, the GDP, as a giant pie. That pension cost, it's a huge slice of that pie. And the scary part is that slice is getting bigger and bigger, which, leaves less for everything else, for years and years to come. Okay, so if the cost is the problem, what's the cause, right? What's actually driving this enormous and growing bill? And the answer might surprise you. It's not really about some kind of economic screw-up. It's actually about something much more fundamental. It's about us. You see, the great news is that as a nation, we're living longer and healthier lives. But that wonderful reality brings a massive financial challenge. How do you fund all those extra years of retirement? And this is where we get to the heart of the matter, a concept called financial sustainability. It's a fancy term, but it's pretty simple, really. It just asks, can the system actually keep the promises it's made, not just for today's retirees, but for people 50 years down the line, without the whole thing collapsing? It's like this incredible high-stakes balancing act. Just think about how that balancing act has totally changed. Back in the day, the system worked because you had a whole bunch of workers paying in for every one person taking a pension out. And, frankly, retirement didn't last as long. But now, that whole equation has completely flipped on its head. We've got fewer workers per retiree. And on top of that, people are enjoying much longer retirements, which is great, but it means the math just doesn't add up like it used to. So you might be wondering what happens next. How does a government actually make a decision this big? Well, it's not random. There is a formal process, a review, that's already on the calendar. And the key date to know is 2029. That's when the next official state pension age review is set to happen. Now, whoever's in government at that point, and you've already heard figures like Shadow Chancellor Rachel Reeves talking about the need for certainty, they're going to have to look at all the evidence and make a really tough call. And this isn't just a political decision. It's based on some key factors. They're going to look at, the very latest data on how long we're all living. They'll assess that financial sustainability we talked about. Can the country actually afford it? They'll look at the burden on the whole economy. And maybe the trickiest part of all, they'll have to weigh the fairness between generations. Is it fair to ask younger people to work longer to support a system designed in a different era? So really, it all boils down to this one massive question. As we all continue to live longer and healthier lives, which is something to celebrate for sure, is a constantly rising retirement age just inevitable? Is it simple math? That's the real tension here, and it's something we're all going to have to grapple with.
You've probably heard the argument, right? We're all living longer, so we should all work longer. On the surface, it sounds pretty logical. It's a simple fix for a big economic problem. But what's the real human cost of that idea? Well, that's what we're going to dig into today. The simple idea immediately raises a huge and kind of tough question. When we talk about pushing the retirement age up to 67 or 68 or even 70, can everybody actually do that? I mean, can every single person really make it to that finish line? So yeah, it seems like a straightforward question. But the answer is anything but. It pulls back the curtain on some really uncomfortable truths about how wildly different our working lives are. Look, the economic logic makes sense. People live longer, pension systems get strained, so we extend working years to balance the books. But that neat little equation completely ignores the human side of it, the quality of those extra years, and the fact that we don't all experience work in the same way. Not even close. So to really get our heads around this, let's look at it through the eyes of two different people, with two very different careers. This is the best way to see why a one-size-fits-all policy just doesn't work for everyone. And this right here really gets to the core of it. On one side, you've got a factory worker. For 40 years, their job has been all about physical labor. Their body is their most important tool. On the other side, an office worker. Now, their job has its own stresses, for sure, but it's not physically breaking down their body day after day, year after year. And that just says it all, doesn't it? This isn't about someone not wanting to work. It's not about a lack of commitment. It's about the cold, hard, physical limits of the human body. For millions of people out there, their bodies are just done. They simply can't keep going into their late 60s.
And this isn't just a feeling people have. This is something we can actually measure. It's a real gap, and it's a concept that gets missed way too often in these big policy debates.
So here's the key term: healthy life expectancy. It's not just about how long you live, it's about your health span. How many of those years are you actually in good health, able to be active, and not limited by some major disability? That number is what really matters. So here's the crucial distinction. You might be healthy in a general sense, healthy enough to enjoy retirement, play with your grandkids, but that is a world away from being healthy enough to do a physically demanding job 40 hours a week. Your ability to do that specific, strenuous work can hit a wall years before your overall health does. And this chart just lays it bare. The data is clear. Workers in physically demanding jobs have a shorter health span than people in professional roles. That gap you're looking at, that's not just data. Those are years of life. Years where one person can keep working pretty comfortably, while another is being forced to push their body past its breaking point. And pushing past those physical limits day in and day out doesn't just damage the body. It carries this enormous, often invisible, mental and emotional burden. I mean, just imagine it. Waking up every day knowing your body is screaming at you to stop, but you can't afford to. The constant fear that one wrong move could lead to an injury that ends your career. The anxiety of trying to keep up. That feeling of being trapped, it takes a massive toll.
Now, let's be clear. All work can be stressful. An office worker might worry about burnout or if their skills are still relevant, and those are very real concerns. But the factory worker's anxiety comes from a different place. It's more primal. It's rooted in physical safety and the very real possibility of their body giving out on them.
Okay, so when you put all the pieces together, the physical wear and tear, the health gap, that heavy mental toll, the picture becomes crystal clear. We are not all running the same race toward retirement. For the office worker, working until 68 might just be a manageable few extra years. But for the factory worker, that same age, that same finish line, can feel like an impossible, almost cruel demand. It's the same policy on paper, but in real life, it creates two totally different worlds. And you can see how it happens. It's like a domino effect. It starts with the job itself, all that physical strain. That leads to health issues, which makes it impossible to work until the official retirement age. So they're forced to retire early, often with less money saved up, which leads straight to financial trouble in their later years. And really, this is the main takeaway. Just because a policy treats everyone the same doesn't mean it's fair. A rule that seems equal on the surface, like one retirement age for all, can actually end up creating more inequality. It punishes the very people whose life's work took the biggest physical toll. So as this debate goes on, this is the question we really need to keep asking ourselves. In this push for a simple, one-size-fits-all solution, who are we forgetting? Who is paying the real price for a finish line that only some of us can ever hope to cross?
All right, let's talk about retirement. But forget the boring spreadsheets and confusing jargon for a minute. Today, we're going to treat this like what it is. A survival mission. A mission you need to start planning for right now to secure your financial future. We're going to build a clear, actionable plan. Let's dive in.
Seriously, does it ever feel like this? You're out there trying to figure it all out, and it feels like you're lost in the woods without a map or a compass. If you've ever felt that kind of overwhelmed, trust me, you are not alone. But here's the good news. We're going to find our way through it together. And that is our mission today. We're going to flip the script on this whole thing. This isn't just about surviving retirement. It's about absolutely thriving in it. And we're going to do that by building your very own retirement survival plan using 4 simple, straightforward steps. Okay, first up, step 1, establishing your timeline. Any successful mission, any journey, it needs a clear destination. And in retirement planning, your single most important coordinate is knowing exactly when you can officially start. And that destination has a name. It's your state pension age. This is the exact age set by the government when you can start getting those pension benefits. Now, this isn't some fuzzy, maybe someday target. It's a hard number, a fixed date, and it's based on when you were born. Pretty much everything else in your plan is going to revolve around this specific age. So, how do you find this magic number? Well, it's actually surprisingly easy. All you have to do is go to your country's official government pension or social security website, look for their calculator tool, pop in your date of birth, and bam! In just a few seconds, you'll have the most important date for your entire plan. That right there becomes your anchor point. So you've got your destination locked in. Now for step 2, packing your provisions. Every mission needs the right gear, right? And for this one, our gear is the financial tools you're going to need to build your wealth along the way. Now look, this state pension is a really important piece of the puzzle. But let's be real, it's almost never enough to live on comfortably. The real foundation of your financial freedom in retirement comes from what you build yourself. We're talking about your private savings. This is the stuff that gives you control, flexibility, and true security. So for those of you in the US, 2 of the most powerful tools in your toolkit are the 401k and the IRA. A 401k, that's tied to your job, while an IRA is something you open up on your own. But I want you to look really closely at that last row for the 401k, the employer match. If your company offers this, it is, and I mean this literally, free money. Think about it. It's like getting an instant 100% return on your investment. Not taking advantage of that full match is like just walking away from a pile of cash every single year. Okay, we have our destination on the map, and our provisions are packed. Now for step 3, navigating the terrain. Every journey has its challenges, its tricky spots, and in retirement planning, one of the biggest ones is something called the pension gap. So what exactly are we talking about here? Well, the gap years are that super critical period of time between the day you decide to stop working and the day your official state pension actually starts paying out. So, for example, maybe you want to retire at 62, but your pension doesn't kick in until you're 67. Those 5 years in between, those are your gap years. And that leads to this huge survival question. How do you fund your life during that gap? Your paycheck is gone, but the government benefits haven't started yet. You have to solve this puzzle. It is an absolutely non-negotiable part of your plan. So the solution is to build a financial bridge to get yourself across that gap. And that could mean a few different things. It could mean strategically tapping into those private savings we just talked about. Maybe you decide to work part-time for a few years, kind of ease into it. Or you could even build a completely separate bridge fund specifically for this purpose. And that brings us to our final step. Step 4, creating your safety net. Look, a good survival plan isn't just about reaching the destination. It's about making sure you get there safely and that you can handle any unexpected stuff that life throws at you along the way. So here it is, your final safety checklist. First, you absolutely need an emergency fund because life happens. Second, you gotta regularly review your insurance and healthcare coverage so that one medical issue doesn't completely derail your entire plan. Third, make a realistic budget for your retirement years so you know what your lifestyle is actually going to cost. And finally, put together an estate plan to protect your legacy. These are the moves that safeguard everything you've worked so hard for. Because when you boil it all down, that's what this is really about. It's not just numbers on a page, it's a promise. A promise that you're making to your future self. A promise of security, of freedom, and, peace of mind. The plan you start building today is honestly the greatest gift you could ever give them. So I'm going to leave you with this one question to think about. After all this, what is the one thing, the one concrete step you're going to take this week to start your own retirement survival plan? Are you going to finally check your pension age? Are you going to call HR and max out that employer match? Just choose one thing and do it. Your mission starts now.